Hello all, and welcome to another follow-up video, one that kind of came by accident, came a bit sideways, which is to do with the fact that the government, in their infinite wisdom, have just recently changed the law to say whereas we used to be able to drive for 9 hours a day, but twice a week you could drive for 10 hours a day, now you can drive for twice a week, you can drive for 11 hours a day. So, responses to it. My general response is I'm not overly keen on this from a safety point of view, and I kind of believe that we work hard enough as it is, and also I believe it's a way of, they say it's as a response to Brexit and a response to the coronavirus thing, getting stuff moved, and as a response to the driver shortage. I don't think so. I don't think there is a driver shortage. I think there's enough drivers out there, they're just not paying these drivers, I say us, because I am actually class 2, but I'm not like you proper guys that are out there doing it all the day in the big rigs, not paying, you're not paying what they should be paying. But that's just my opinion. These are your responses, and they were wonderful. Thank you very much. And so I'm just going to take this opportunity now to read through them, if that's okay. Lee Westcott starts with, he said, "This is exactly why I'm sticking with a 3.5 ton van. I've noticed this go two ways. I've noticed it seems to be the case that if you're in a truck, then you will actually more likely by the end of your career to want to jump into a van. I was in a van for most of my life, so near the end of my career I'm jumping into a truck. It's kind of, you get fed up with it, and there are pros and cons with everything. With a van, I mean, I like the big space, but then again with a van you don't seem to be waiting in distribution centres all day long. So anyway, but that's just, again, coming on to you guys. Steve Athers, he said, well mate, he said it's a long hour culture with low pay. So yeah, that kind of reinforces what I was thinking as well. Damien W says, Pete, he said, what the answer? He said that some people want to pay £13 an hour. He said, which is just silly. And I think so. When you bear in mind the fact that you can get, £8.50, £8.75 minimum wage stacking shelves in Tesco's, you don't have any grief for distribution centres, you don't have any sort of, I'm driving around a great big truck, responsibility. It's just not enough. The gap between the two is not there, Fit Kit for Purpose says, in every news segment I've seen on this, nobody mentions the policy. The policy will drive us out of the job. This is something else that has occurred to me, is if what you do is all the guys leave because they think they're just turning the screw too tight. So what you do is, what is in the Romanian pressure cooker, if you turn the screw even tighter, all you're going to do is force even more drivers out. So actually by extending the driving hours, what you're doing is actually converse to what you should be doing. You're trying to get more drivers in, and what you'll actually do is drive, well, for want of a better phrase, drive more drivers away. So, but yeah, I agree with you. Godzilla's regular contributor to the channel. He says, the voice of common sense, Pete. Nice one. I'm pleased you thought I got it right. I never know what I'm talking about. He says, I worry about the hours also. The plan is to note your driving hours so you can now... So they can now seek to control people's lives more than ever, and drop double man in favour of single man. And what he's saying is, whereas before you wouldn't have enough hours to do the job because you had to do it in 10 hours. That you ain't going to do that in 10 hours. I'll put a second man in the truck and you can double card it. What he's saying is now, well, for 11 hours, we'll wing it. We might just make it, which saves you one guy's wages. So again, it's all about the economics, isn't it, really? He said 9 to 10 hour days are treated as a maximum, not a target. It's not like, it's not like the speed limit. If it's 70 miles an hour, the aim is not to do 70 miles an hour. The aim is to do less than 70 miles an hour. Also, the aim is less to do on motorways more than 40. As my dad actually in a van, Luton van, is the only person I know who's ever been pulled over on a motorway for going too slowly. He was listening to some mellow music on his way back from market. The guy bought it. He said, do you know how fast you were going? My dad went, no. I don't think I was fast. So you went 38. Can you put your foot down, please? Admittedly, he was a market trader. Overloaded transits van, don't go that fast. All market traders overload. Where was we? He said, the note of jobs listed yesterday, class 1, £9.75 an hour. It won't get filled, and another cross in the box. There is enough drivers. Also, he says brackets really bored. Not me for a change. Worked out the extra cost of paying a driver £13 compared to £15 an hour on a truck full of tin goods. It works out to the supplier. Well done, you mate, for actually going through the mess. For actually giving the driver an extra £2 an hour on an Arctic full of tin goods, it works out 0.006p per tin. I mean, come on. Fess up, guys, you know. That's food for thought, quite literally. If the hourly rate was 25 an hour, the biggest queues in the country would be to signing the HGV test centre. Pay them what they're worth. Pay these guys what they're worth. James Hoddy, he said, 100% agree with you, Pete. Once again, thank you. He said, there isn't a driver shortage at all because all the big firms won't pay the money. People don't want to do it anymore. It's anti-social hours, yep. Makes family time hard. Yeah, I mean, I had to stay out. Don't get me wrong, like I say, I'm not you guys. But occasionally I stayed out. Only you know, I don't know if this video's going out, but, you know, recently. I'm going to stay out, you know, the right money comes in. But I get paid the right money. So it's easy for me. It doesn't put pressure on my family because I can turn around to my wife and say, I'm not coming home tonight, but I'm going to get serious dough for it. If you say, I'm not coming home tonight because I can't, and you're only bringing in, you know, like the Mickey Mouse money, that's going to put stress on your wife, on your family, on your kids. Not good. He said, I work class 1 nights for a big haulage firm. I've had 2 pay rises in a couple of months now and an extra £2,600 a year. But we started low and we were underpaid with the extra, in my opinion, but at least it's a start. I do think they've got to fall into line. Domain name guy, another regular guy. He says, they're making it too difficult for drivers by adding unnecessary obstacles. He said, when I started with an agency 10 years ago, it was simply all you had to have was a digicard. Now you've got to have a digicard, and you've got to have for the agency. Well, there's all the other stuff that he needs. You know, passports, CPCs. Again, I think the point he's probably trying to make here is the fact that the industry changed. In the fact that they changed when I got out of the 7.5 ton the first time, and now you're required to do so much more. But the same thing, they still want to pay you the same kind of money, like, you know, and yeah, not right. Sorry, I should have edited that. I should have read through it. I do apologise. Sometimes get befuddled by this is why I'm not a newsreader. There's probably many other reasons why I'm not a newsreader. I don't really understand the news. But yeah, I do apologise. Anyway, but coming back to it, Yorkshireman's Daily Grind. He said, I had Class 1 for many years, and I'm just about to renew it, but I'm only keeping it in case it all fails. Otherwise, I'm not interested. I'd rather be in a van without the grief. As Lee Westcott says at the beginning, there is a big attraction with vans. You get in, you drive. You know, there's lorries. There's more. I said, and I still maintain, everybody should be driving an 18-ton truck. Double curtain side tail lift. That's what I believe is the way forward, but it is involved. If you don't want to get involved, and if you don't like waiting particularly, fans could be the way forward. David Tate, he said the driver shortage is down to wages. I think this is a general concurrence that's coming on here. Always has been. I was a labourer for nearly 10 years and the lads on site used to ask me why I was doing it if I had my HGV licence. Simple answer was I earn more on the sites. Well, there you go. There's not a driver shortage. There's drivers out there. Pay them what they're worth. He said from 2017 to 2019 I was driving a 6-wheeler with a HiAb and getting £10 an hour. Went into driving Luton van for £9.50 an hour. Okay, it was 20 quid less a week, but well worth it for the lack of hassle that has been involved in actually work. Yeah, and there is that thing. There's the waiting. If you don't like waiting, you're in the wrong job for a start. There's the naughty step. I've turned up 10 minutes late. You know, you're going to wait 4 hours. There's the cage where you drive up to a distribution centre and all drivers got to wait in the cage, hand your keys in, and you're sitting in this godforsaken place. It's like being in a prison for 4 hours. As my mate Nigel always says, strive for less. You get 1 ticket to the gun show. Ian Merrick, another very knowledgeable guy who contributes. He said, I got a letter back from Grant Shapps via my MP recently regarding the HGV driver shortage. The popular phrase I see from various ministers who have replied to me about various issues is, we are consulting with the industry on a regular basis. The RHA say that they have been meeting with the government about this issue every week for the last 4 years. My thoughts? Longer hours won't work. Short-term visas, overseas drivers stay home because of the COVID. Army, he said, suspect they'll be deployed for peak delivery season before the shelves get. He's actually saying it'll get so bad they'll bring the army in to drive the trucks. Who knows where this is going? It's a very easy answer, and I think we're getting it. Jim Bob says the main problem is high taxes and other deductions on pay slips. Once again, bottom line on your money. Geller Eugene, who drives truck, I don't think it's far from me in fairness, he said it's around £3,000 to do a Class 1. Why the government doesn't do something about this instead? The point is, it's a bit like being a cab driver. You know, like my mate Dave, and I did it for a little while, I did it for 18 months. The knowledge, in the fact I was doing the knowledge, and then it was becoming very clear what with the advent of the Ubers and the fact that people can now technically pick up off the street. You'd have to do 5 years worth of training to do, well, it's 3 years full time to do the knowledge. And then when you came out at the end of it, it wasn't worth it. The same with the Class 1. If you want people to spend £3,000, okay, you can get a grant, you can get a loan, but you've got to make it worth their while doing it. And if they go, well, I'm going to go through all this training and I come out the other end to earn £10 an hour, Tesco's. See you later, baked potato. RJ. He says there's plenty of problems. Just the reoccurring theme here. There is plenty of drivers, but the problem is the wages. I'm an HG driver for over 12 years' experience. We need to get a decent wage, and then there will be lots of drivers. Many people in the companies treat us like we're not being human. Yeah, that is a thing. Isn't that wonderful as well? With the COVID thing hit, suddenly we were heroes. Suddenly we were delivery drivers. Now it's eased off again. Now you're just a van driver. Sit over there, mate. You know, the high vis at one stage was, now it's like high vis. I missed one. I'll come back to that. Yeah, we treat us like we're human. We need more money, more safe parking. That would be a big bonus. We can relax and get ready for the next day. Toilets, always pleasing as well. Earn a maximum of 12-hour shifts. Maybe a tax reduction. Otherwise, I'll go to some shop restocking shelves for the same money and spend some time with the family and have my real life back. Once again, Tesco's. I missed this one, sorry. Monty Python and the Holy Grail. He said 3 years ago, Lloyd, you know, the sort of the foreign nationals worked for £4 an hour, motel based, 15-hour shifts. He says big bosses and all that. He said I looked online and jobs are almost the same as they were 4 years ago. He said in Denmark from 2020, the new hourly rate is a DKK of 164.96. It's 19.96 an hour was announced. The rate was applicable from January the 1st. There are houses, the houses out there are cheaper than was announced. I don't really know. I've never really passed comment on the sort of the foreign national thing. I mean, because it is another playing field. And I applaud anybody who tries to get out there and earn money for their family. Like, you know, I know it has got a lot trickier since they've change the rules. I'm not really au fait with the rules, so I'm not going to try and come big heavy or something I don't truly understand. But I think the bottom line is, regardless of where you're from, it just comes down to money. There's my mate Nick, the Urban Trucker, has done a comment. He says, hi Pete, he said, back in the day we never used to run out of hours. Oh, I remember this. Back in the day when you had the pear-shaped analog tacho. You know, the sort of the paper one. Tacho drivers, paper cards. You run out of time, just take one out and put another one in under a different driver's name. He said it was amazing how many names I had at the back of the day. He said the scary thing is it was common back then. He said I worked for companies where they would expect you to do it and to get the job done. Somerset House must have had a meltdown with the drivers changing their names. The other thing is, of course, the vortex. When we used to run on the paper tachos, you used to click the thing down, put it in, and then click it back up again. God, I'm old. And if it didn't work, you know, if there was like certain tachos you didn't really want in there because you'd overdone it, frisbees. What happened? I'm ever so sorry. What happened was I wound two windows down at the same time, and there was like a vortex, wind everywhere. It was like a mini tornado. They just disappeared, and people didn't think to mind, and they don't. They do mind now. Then we're back on the proper cards now, and I applaud it. And eventually now the cards are going to go GPS linked, and it's all good, providing it's looking after the driver, providing it's saying you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't put two cards in, otherwise we'll crucify you or we'll crucify your firm. You can't overrun because we'll take your road licence away. But when they turn around and they go, right, okay, there's your card, we're monitoring your hours, by the way, you can drive forever, defeats the object. And once again, I've done this one before. I love this as well. This is he's an IRVS or IRVS. He said there's plenty of drivers. We're all waiting at supermarket distribution centres because they don't employ enough staff to unload the trucks. It's a bane of our life. Right, That's the add-on video. Once again, thank you so much for all of your comments. It's truly appreciated. And I hope that anybody who watches the video in the later date, didn't watch the beginning, will benefit from this experience. Thank you all. Take care. Take money.